volunteering today. Based on the makeshift equipment we have, can you guess what sport or skill we might be looking at?
Catching, bowling.
Correct. So we're going to be looking at cricket, exclusively a standing bowl, which is a little bit different from the traditional bowl you might see on the TV in a cricket match or do at your weekend sporting game, because there's no run-up. Before I ask of a demonstration of you, let me show you how it's done. Thanks for that. So from what I can see, you're relying on the fundamental manipulative movement skill, the overarm throw. Now in cricket, the bowl and release is actually far more technical than your in the playground throw. However, proficiency in this fundamental movement skill will help you to eventually progress to the level of bowling we are after. So it's really good to see. I also noticed that you had great balance and essential non-locomotor movement skill. This is because, other than being a prerequisite for all movement, it will help prevent falls and injuries. So now let's move on to looking at the skill components involved in a standing bowl. Today I've broken the whole skill into 4 smaller parts, which we will then rehearse in isolation and put them together and practice and execute the whole skill. But before we begin, just off the top of your head, Francis, do you think you could name what these 4 skill components could be?
The ball grip.
Yep, it's a good one.
The throw of the ball.
Yep.
That's all I can think of.
Okay, good. Well, they're 2 good ones. So the grip of the ball and the bowl and release are 2 of the more obvious ones. A good grip on the ball is important because it will influence the delivery and its outcome, so i.e. the accuracy if you hit the wicket or the target. Bowl and release, or the throw as you described it, is also important because your technique when you bowl and the timing when you release the ball will also influence the delivery and its outcome. The 2 other skill components that beginner cricketers like yourself often forget but are still nonetheless important are the stance and the follow through. You may have heard of a follow through in netball or basketball when you're shooting, or in rugby when you pass the ball. So it refers to the direction your body is pointing in after the ball leaves your hands. And this is important to do as the ball will actually go in the direction that you're pointing. Let's now get into teaching the skill components. I want you to hold the ball in your dominant hand, so the one that you write with, and hold it upright. Now we know it's upright if the seam on the ball is running vertically, so top to bottom. With your second and third fingers, make bunny ears over the ball, very good, and place 1 finger on either side of the seam. Good. Now with your thumb, it should be under the ball. Good, yet resting on the seam. Now with your other 2 fingers, they should be wrapped into your palm. Good. And that's how you hold a cricket ball. Have a go at doing that by yourself. So bunny ears on the ball, 1 hand on either side of the seam, thumb underneath, and fingers wrapped into the palm. Excellent. Let's get into the proper stance that we will be bowling from. So, facing the wicket, I want you, if you are right-handed, to jump 90 degrees to the right. Excellent. Our student here is right-handed, but if you were left-handed, you would jump 90 degrees to the left. So as you can now see, our student is side on with the shoulder opposing the hand with the ball facing the wicket. So let's have a go together now. So facing the wicket, and we're going to hold the ball correctly and jump 90 degrees to the right. Our shoulder is now facing the wicket. I'll now get you to have a go by yourself. Good, holding the ball correctly. Excellent. So we're now getting into the tricky part, the bowl and release. I've broken this skill component down into 3 smaller parts for your ease. So as you can see, my student is already in her correct stance, and I want her to raise her front arm, so the arm without the ball, up to 11 o'clock. So not 12 o'clock, but 11, so slightly to the left. Good. So the hand with the ball should be resting against your back leg, just about where the pockets on your shorts are, to help you remember. This is important to reinforce to beginners, as a common error they make is holding the ball into their chest. So both arms should in fact be straight. There should be no bends in the elbow. And a good way to remind yourself of this is think about the hands on the clock. Make sure you're standing nice and upright. I want you to have a go by yourself. Good, nice straight arms. Next bit is nice and easy. With that front hand in 11 o'clock, back one on your dominant hip, you're going to lift your front leg and don't put it down. Think of Kung Fu Panda. So just lift it up in front of you. Good. Let's do that a few times just to get the hang of it. Now, when you are holding that front leg and your arm is up in 11 o'clock, I want you to imagine you're pulling on a piece of string. You are going to pull down slowly on the imaginary string, and as you pull, your front leg should go down and your back arm should come up and brush your ear as it goes past. So let's put that together. So pull down on the string, put your foot down, brush your ear. Now I'll get you to have a go by yourself. Pull down the string, foot on the ground, and brush your ear. Excellent, arms are nice and straight. It's crucial she kept her back arm straight throughout the entirety of that motion to avoid the chucking or throwing that beginners tend to favour and reach that technical level we want to see. So that's the bowling aspect covered. Now we're going to look at the release of the ball. So the ball should leave your hands when it's at the highest point in the bowl, which is actually when it brushes your ear. So when your hand is directly pointing up to the sky. The timing of the release of the ball is a common error in beginner bowlers. If it is released too early, it will go up into the air, and if it's released too late, it will go in towards the ground. It's also worth noting that beginner bowlers are often in a hurry to release the ball, but just remind them it's not about the speed, it's about accuracy. So from that, can you show me where you think your hand will be when you release the ball? Good, excellent. Pointing up to the sky just when you brush your ear. So can we go through the movement up to that point without releasing the ball? Leg up, pull down on the string. Excellent. You do it again for me, and this time I want you to look up to the ball when you think it's due to be released. Good. I want you to actually release the ball. So go through nice and slowly, hand to 11 o'clock, pull down. Our student lost her balance slightly, so you might want to go back and review the component where balance is the focus, such as the stance, and this time she's going to try with her feet wider apart. Together from the very beginning. So starting with the grip, bunny ears, one finger on either side of the seam, thumb underneath, and fingers into your palm. Good. Jump into position. Nice wide base for balance. Front hand up into 11 o'clock. Back one against your dominant hip. Lift your front leg up. Pull on the imaginary string. Brush your ear and release. For the follow through. It's important to remember that your job isn't done when the ball leaves your hands. You must keep all body parts facing towards the target or the wicket. So this includes your head, your shoulder, your arms, and your hip. The most important thing to remind your students when rehearsing each of the skill components is to keep your eye on the target.
Hello class, so today we're going to be participating in 2 different activities to help you develop and refine your skills when we bowl in cricket. So as this is only lesson 2 of 8 within our cricket unit, we've only briefly been introduced to the standing bowl. However, today I hope that we can build upon what we have previously learnt, increasing our accuracy and improving our technique. So the first activity you'll be participating is called Hit the Large Ball. So as there are only 2 of you in my class today, but in an actual class at school, we would have 28 students.
These 28 students will be placed into 4 different groups, with 7 students in each group. The teacher will set up 2 different matches that will occur at the same time. The following diagram is highlighting the setup of one match. Here, there are 2 groups of 7 students, with each group behind a line facing towards the other group, which are about 15 metres away. In front of each group is a line of cones which marks the scoring line. 3 to 4 larger soft balls are placed in between these 2 scoring lines. This area is known as the safe zone. But today, as you can see, I just have my 2 students, Miles and Louise, and you can see the scoring lines, the blue line, which is in front of them.
Our class, just before we get started yourself, just here's some safety considerations. When we participate in physical activity, we need to make sure we have supportive flat shoes as we participate and clothes that are suitable for doing activity in. Also, make sure when you're playing that the surface is flat, even, and not too unstable. Likewise, remove any hazards. Another safety consideration is to make sure that the playing area is adequate for the number of students.
Also, for safety reasons, no student is allowed to enter the safe zone. Only a teacher can, when necessary, to collect a ball. So, Miles and Louise, your aim today, using these smaller balls, is to hit the larger balls past the opponent's scoring line.
The team to get the greatest number of soft balls past the opponent's line is the winner. So now I'm going to demonstrate for you. So we're standing face on. I'm right-handed, so my left foot is forward. I put my arm back and I'm aiming for the ball. And I did end up hitting it. So this is our first activity for today. We're going to start by using the overarm throw that we did last lesson. So with the ball. So what I want you to do is develop your confidence and consistency with your throws as you practice aiming towards a specific target. So as you throw the ball, your arm should be bent, opposite foot forward to your throwing arm as you throw and aim for the target. So now I want you guys to have a go. Ready, set, go! Well done, Miles. Okay, well done, Miles, as you do that activity. Just remember though, when we're throwing the ball, we want to be side on as we throw it and then come forward. Okay, so have a go at that. Also, remember when you do it, for this activity, I want you to point to the target when you're throwing it, okay? Have a go. That was good. I like the way you put your foot forward, but when you throw, a common error that students make is not following through with the ball. So when we do it, we've got to follow through and watch our arm release like that. Okay, let's try again. Remember the points we made. We're pointing to our target. We have our opposite foot and we're sideways. Ready? And follow through. Another common error that students make is going too quickly as they do the shot. Speed isn't so important, accuracy is, especially in an activity like this. Okay, so I like the way that you had your opposite foot forward as well, just like Miles, but I want you to focus on accuracy, not speed. We did that very quickly. As we do it, we want to point to our target and follow through. You also had your arm quite low, so make sure it's above your head as you follow through. So opposite foot, which you did well, yeah. We want to point to our target and we have our arm going over our head. You have a go. Over our head, good job. Great work, class, on the first activity. I think you've really developed the skill in being able to aim the ball, pointing to where you want to go and being side on as we throw the ball. But now we're going to go into activity number 2. But before we do, we're going to quickly pack up. So in a real class situation, I'd probably get 2 students or volunteers to collect the cones as so. Just for some safety considerations, like activity 1, we want to make sure we have some good flat shoes on and that we have nice comfortable clothing that is breathable. Also, we've got ground that is flat and there's no hazards in our way. So remember, inside the circle is the safety zone and only the teacher's allowed to go in. So if you need a ball to get collected, just put your hand up and I'll collect the ball in the safety zone for you. So for activity 2, as we learnt last lesson, we were introduced to the standing bowl. But with the class now, I'm just going to recap how we do that standing bowl. So remember, when we do the standing bowl, we grip our ball with bunny ears down the seam. And with our stance, if our target is this way, we face forward. Then we jump 90 degrees. Hand in the air without the ball. Side on. And we have our arms straight and we're rocking forwards. And then we throw the ball brushing past our ear and follow through. So we're in the side on position rocking as we learnt last lesson. We put it down, follow through. Okay, those throws are looking good. Now we're going to practice those throws with your partner in activity 2 called Cricket Crossfire. So for this activity, students are grouped into pairs with one ball allocated per pairs.
For a class of 28 students, students will be spread across 3 different circles, each containing 8 students, 10 students, and 10 students. When focusing on one circle in our diagram, 8 cones are placed as the outline of the circle, with each pair placed at a cone. Each pair will stand at the same coloured cone, bowling the ball to one another. This is our setup for today. Miles and Louise will be standing on the red cones and will be facing one another.
And I want you to aim to bounce the ball once in between the cones of you and your partner. So if I'm in a partner with my pair Louise, I would bowl the ball, hopefully bounce once, and they have to catch it. So Mars is throwing, Louise catching.
Ready, Miles?
Louise, I like the way that you had your arms straight as you're going through. That was a really good job. Can you have another go for me? The rocking motion. Yeah, as we're doing that, I just want to see a bit more of a follow through though. I can see you're doing the rocking, but if you could just have this back leg and you release the ball to follow through in front of you, just so your momentum is going with the ball. Okay, I like the way that you listen to the feedback and you follow through with your leg. For your arm, a common error that you just did if your arm was bent, make sure your arm's brushing past your ear and you want to release the ball at its highest point in the air, okay? Because you had your arm a bit out to the right and bent, but instead brushing past the ear and straight as we follow through. Nice straight arm. Rocking motion going forwards. So remember your side on. So once each pair's had around 5 goes, say each having a go at the bowling, and they're starting to get more consistent, the teacher then can add 2 wickets in the middle of the large circle as a target. So having 2 wickets together creates a larger target for students to aim at. So as this is only lesson 2 within the cricket unit, it's important that students have this larger target so they develop confidence and consistency. And students can score 1 point each time the wickets are hit. So I think it's time, I think you guys are ready to add in the wicket. Today we are using a box for our wicket. So class, I want you to go now to your correct coloured cone. So for Miles and Louise, that's red. And now I want you to have a go aiming for the wicket. Great work hitting the box. You kept your arms straight and you really followed through. Just a teaching point again is remember when you have the ball in your hand that you keep it by your side, not in your chest. So it's down by your waist or your side before you release it over your head. Does that make sense, Miles?
Yes, Becky, that makes sense. I'll take on the feedback.
In a real teaching situation, if you had 2 wickets and students were progressing well, then we could just remove one of the wickets to have a smaller target to help improve their accuracy. Well done, everyone. I really like the way you were really taking on the feedback that I was giving you and you really actively participated. What's one thing you guys have taken away from today's lesson?
I've never been able to bowl, so I think I've progressed very well.
Yeah, well, I've really picked up the basics and I'm learning to follow through more.